Had a chance to speak to Jill Barker, who does fitness, covers fitness over at the Montreal Gazette, and asked about a new study. This is one of those that incorporates a whole lot of studies that have been done. So if you're waiting to find out, can I get in shape? Is it going to be too hard? There's some good news in this study. So I asked her we started out by asking to basically recap what we found out.
So what we found out, this study was specific to weight training, which if you're of a certain age, and I'm going to say that certain age is anywhere over 30, we know that you lose muscle mass gradually from the age of 30, slow, gentle decrease of muscle mass, but it ramps up a bit more at the age of 60. So you really do want to add some weight training to your regular exercise routine. And this one says it just needs to be very simple. So if you at all follow social media or any trainers on social media, you may see some very complicated exercises or, weight training routines. You don't need it.
I like the sound of that.
Best part of that, you don't need it.
I mean, you already had me at 20 minutes. I was like, okay, 20 minutes. But how many times a week are we talking 20 minutes, and how simple is the workout?
We're talking one to two times a week, preferably two, but you could get away with one. If you're looking at maintenance, and if you want to build, it should be at least twice a week. So build muscle or build strength.
I'm very, very interesting to me. Okay.
I want to just point out one thing. I love what you said. So after the age of 30, you begin to lose muscle mass. But my favorite line in the article, Jill, is such a gradual decline likely goes unnoticed the first couple of decades. Decades.
Yeah.
As in you're not paying attention.
Right. And then, we count some of these things. We say, well, it's just because we're older. But in general, they're finding out it's not necessarily age, but more lack of use. So the old, use it or lose it principle really, really stands tall in this study and in most exercise routines.
Okay, I want to point out one other thing. We should clarify for people who are about to start and maybe haven't done this in a long time, we're talking specifically of weight training. So this is not you doing cardio. This is not you doing the stepper or the treadmill. This is specifically resistance training, right?
Correct.
Okay.
This particular study is specific to resistance training, lifting weights. And what they're saying is you really like 2 sets. And the number of reps, so the number of repetitions per set, is just until you feel that you're almost fatigued. And then, you do that. That's one set, and then the second set, and move on to the next muscle group or the next exercise.
So you do it until failure is what they say,
okay.
And then you move on.
So I'm going to guess that my little 3-pound weights that I'm using currently probably don't cut it.
Probably don't cut it. But again, we know it used to be, Erin, that, you went to failure. And for many people, that was a bit too far. Now they're realizing you get results just a little less than failure. So you don't have to do the whole grunt and groan thing.
Okay.
You want to challenge the muscle and you want to feel like the muscle's challenged, but you don't have to push yourself, to the point where you're uncomfortable.
So then theoretically, and again, I point this out, I think it was mentioned in the article as well. So the old idea in Natasha's case, say you're doing a lightweight, even if you're doing 10 pounds as opposed to someone doing 30 or 35 pounds, if you were to do that 10 pounds, the first set till you really felt it, and that could be maybe 20 reps as opposed to doing 6 or 8 or 10 with a heavy weight. Does that work the same way if you then did the second weight, even if that lighter weight, to failure?
Yeah, I mean, what they found in this study that a greater amount of weight and fewer reps built more strength, and then the lighter weight and more reps built increased muscle size. But I think that's splitting hairs. I think, again, you could follow either routine, whatever you prefer. And I think we've seen already evidence of that. If you look at a swimmer, they're not necessarily pushing a lot of weight, even if they're not in the weight room, but they're pulling against the resistance of the water. And we can all agree they have pretty good muscle and pretty good muscle definition.
We're speaking with Jill Barker, Montreal Gazette fitness reporter. Jill, I went to go see Madonna last week, and she's 65 years old, and she is in astonishing shape. Like, I was like, look at those thighs, look at those arm muscles, which we're not accustomed to seeing in someone that age. So obviously she's kept herself in great shape the whole way through. But for someone who hasn't, can you still attain that in that age range?
Well, again, you have to be very specific about your goals, and also certain body types just lend themselves to better muscle definition. So I don't have that body type that I have this great muscle definition. So, Madonna's a great example, but, we don't always want to be like Madonna. What we want to try to do is, we want to build strength, and we also want to look good. And I think that you can follow this, very simple program, and you're going to see those results.
So I will ask one other thing. So Madonna's 65, and that was going to be my next question. Depending on your age, you're listening to this and thinking, okay, I'm motivated enough. I know it'll only take 20 minutes. That's great news. I only need to do this a couple of days a week. More great news. So with respect to the age you happen to be, so forget about 30 when you start to lose muscle mass. If you're 50, if you're 60, what do you do for those 20 minutes that you're in the gym? Just the 2 sets and call that a day? Or should you be doing something different the older you get? Is there a sort of an issue with that?
No, there's no issue with that. I think, 2 sets per muscle group. So you want to do upper and lower body. You want to do core. You want, your back. So you may want to meet with the trainer first just to make sure you've got the right selection of exercises to reach your goals. And then you'll be able to set your sets and your reps, and maybe get some guidance on what weight to start with. So that's a really good investment in your time. And then you should be able to rock and roll on your own. And you will see improvements. You'll see them and you'll feel them. Going up and down stairs, it'll take longer for you to fatigue. So that's what you're looking for, at least initially. And then, whatever goals you have on top of that, aesthetic goals or, additional strength goals, you can work towards reaching those as well.
Last question. We've talked, Natasha and I, about this for you. And I said, you know what, if you can start with bands, because bands, of course, come in different tensions. Is that okay as opposed to just doing?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Your muscle doesn't care what the resistance is, as long as it's challenged. So, body weight, for sure, especially for, somebody starting out, that could be all the challenge your muscles need to start.
Okay, and then you were saying don't push it. So I guess, though, as you make progress, as you get better, you push it a little bit more.
Yeah, you want to be, you want to be fatigued. So a good way to keep a note of the number of reps. And, when you're first starting, you're going to feel fatigue at, say, rep number 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, and then you'll see that it'll take you longer to reach fatigue, and then you can bump up your weight.
All right. Good news for everybody who wants to get started and thinks it wasn't going to be easy. It's looking like it's going to be
easy.
Pretty, well, at least approachable. Let's say that. Jill, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. Always appreciate it.
My pleasure.
There you go. Some good news. Get back in the gym. It only takes a couple of days a week, and you don't have to push all that hard.